Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Tanya Friedman, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Kinetics USA. And we help healthcare organizations all over the US with the nursing shortage by bringing in internationally educated healthcare workers. And I have with me today Cornelia. Hi, Cornelia.
Hi, Miss Tanya. I'm good. How are you?
Welcome. I'd like to welcome everybody who's watching all over the world to our new show. It's called Onwards and Upwards, and it is a live show for global nurses all over the US. Today's segment is what we call Stateside. So what we are going to be learning today is about the different states, and specifically Cornelia is going to be talking to us about California and about Hanford, California. So we can't wait to hear everything that Cornelia is going to share with us today. The reason why we created our show Onwards and Upwards is many nurses all over the world want to come to the US, but really don't know where to start. We've created a success path. And on that success path, there's a number of steps of how to get to the US. I'm not going to go through all of those today. You can check that out on kineticsusa.com, our website. But today we're going to be at step 7, which is enjoy and prosper. And that's where Cornelia is today. So if you have any questions for Cornelia, please put them into the chat. We'd love to hear from you, what your name is, where you are in the world. And if you have any questions for Cornelia, we're going to be talking about, for the next 30 to 45 minutes, we're going to be talking about California. We're going to be talking about Hanford, California specifically. And she's going to be telling us all about what it's like to live there, what the housing is like, what the climate is like, what fun things there are to do in California. So we're looking forward to hearing your story. Okay, so let's get started. Onward and upward, Cornelia. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am from the Philippines. I have been a nurse since 2010, and I have a 5-year full-time experience as a nurse back in the Philippines when I started with Kinetics with you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so did you always want to come to America?
Yes, definitely, because my family's here. My sister's been here since I was in high school, and I've heard good stories from her. I've seen how they've become successful as a family, starting from the Philippines, because my brother-in-law is also an RN. So I've heard stories from him about how good it is to be an RN in the US.
Okay. What kind of stories did you hear from him?
Well, first, the compensation, of course.
Okay.
There's a big difference. Yeah, there's a big difference.
Absolutely. Many nurses want to come to America for greener pastures, great compensation. Okay, so that's a big thing. What else did you hear from him?
Well, the comfort of living in California as an RN. And, you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck as how we have lived in the Philippines as a nurse. So it's a big, it's life-changing to be here working as a nurse and getting like 10 times more than what I used to get back home. So
yeah. So that's a huge deal, because really at the end of the day, nursing is it really is a passion for so many nurses, but it also it's hard work. So to be valued and appreciated for that is huge, and I'm sure it feels really good now to be earning US dollars.
Yeah, definitely.
Cornelia, before you arrived here, had you ever been to America before?
No, I've never been to.
Okay, so so when you kind of put your head on your pillow at night when you were living back in the Philippines, what thoughts were you having about California? What were you kind of dreaming about?
Well, because in the Philippines, we watch their movies. We follow our favorite artists, we hear their music. So basically, coming in here, it's just you get to see it in real life, and it's breathtaking. And it's really just a big step that I took coming in here.
Yeah, it really is one of the most exciting things anyone will ever do, but also kind of scary.
Yeah, it is. It is scary.
Just coming to the unknown.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we do our show, Onward and Upward, because for any nurse that is looking to come to the US or is wanting to change your life and is dreaming about that, like Cornelia has been in the past, we want to make sure to educate, to be educated about what is it actually like, because sometimes what you're dreaming about and what the reality is two different things. So this is really interesting to so many nurses that are living all over the world. So thank you for sharing your story, Cornelia. And for anybody watching, please feel free. We'd love to hear from you and tell us if you have any questions for Cornelia. So I've got a whole list of questions, Cornelia, but anybody can jump in and ask questions as well. Put the questions into the chat. Okay, so let's talk about California. For many nurses, they kind of hear the name, but they don't really know where it is. So for those of you who don't know where it is, we're going to put up a graphic of a map to show you where California is on the map, so you can see it's kind of on the far west side. Cornelia, tell us about the first day that you landed in California. What was it like and what did you see?
Well, I landed in Los Angeles airport. So it was at nighttime. And then we had my brother-in-law had to drive 4 hours to Porterville. In the morning, it was so cold, and all I see is farms when we drove around the small town here in Porterville. So what I saw were oranges, grapes. This sounds quite very agricultural. So it's more of you see barns, I even saw men in cowboy hats. And
surprising.
Yeah, fruit stands everywhere. It was still quite cold when I came here. It was the end of March. And what else? They have a lot of stores in here. Yeah, and a lot of taquerias on the side, taco trucks, which are very, very good. I love them.
Okay, so is that your new favorite, the taco trucks? Or one of
that
them?
and In-N-Out Burger, definitely.
Yes. We can't wait for any nurse that's watching from all over the world to come and try In-N-Out Burgers. That is definitely an absolute treat. So in those first few days, I know that you went to stay with your family in Porterville, but was it what you expected?
Well, I expected California's a busy city, because in my head it's everywhere is LA. But coming from it was just a few hours from LA, but it's a lot different in LA. It's a lot quieter here. And what you see in the movies, the suburbs, the houses, the big roads, they're all here, and it's very quiet. In LA, when I went there were a lot of people on the streets anywhere you look, but in here it's a lot quieter.
A lot quieter. Okay. Yeah. So what do you like the most so far about living in California?
To be honest, I love how you can afford to shop, the American brands.
Yes.
Where it's really expensive back home, and in here you get it for a lot cheaper. And I love the food, of course, the burgers, the tacos. Yeah, trying to watch my weight because American serving is really big.
That is true.
Actually gained some.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of getting used to. I was actually an immigrant myself. I came here 21 years ago from South Africa. And I remember the first time that we went to a restaurant, I was shocked at the helpings. It was
Yeah.
really big helpings, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that could feed my whole family." So yes, sometimes you have to be a little bit careful of putting on too much weight when you first arrive here and you're not used to it.
True.
Okay, we've got a question from Marie. So Marie is asking, does Nursing Connections hiring nurses to California? I'm interested. Oh, so Marie, yes, if you are interested, please go to the Kinetics USA website /applications and apply, and we'd be happy to help you. You can also look at the Kinetics USA website for the success part, because we're many nurses, and Cornelia, you probably experienced this as well, is you just sometimes don't know where to start. It sounds so complicated and so many steps. How does the immigration work? How does the licensing work? It can feel very overwhelming. But what we want is for you to be like Cornelia now, who's living her American dream. So Marie, please go to the website and we'd be happy to help you, or anyone else who's watching. Okay, so Cornelia, let's talk a little bit about Hanford, because for many nurses, they might never have heard of Hanford or the Fresno area. Tell us a little bit about the first time that you came to Hanford and what that was like.
It was almost the same as Porterville, where I currently live, but it has more than Porterville when it comes to establishments and stores. There are more restaurants, there are more like shops that you need for every day, because here in Porterville you only get like one or two of that, like auto repair shops or where you can buy cars. In Hanford they have stores for like Honda, Toyota, and they have hotels like with names, because here in Porterville we only have like the cheap motels, the cheaper motels. In Hanford, it's a bigger city than Porterville. It's the same in a sense that it's also agricultural. There are also farms in there, but it's more modern than Porterville.
Okay.
And it's near Fresno. Fresno is about 30 minutes away from Hanford, but Fresno is like a little Los Angeles.
Yes,
If
that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of putting it.
yeah.
Okay, Vanya is saying, hello, ma'am, Leah Capio. Hi, Leah. Nice to
Oh,
see
that's my
you.
that's my friend.
friend.
Yeah, because I invited my friends to come watch. They're
Oh,
all nurses.
yes. Well, that's what the Onwards and Upwards show is all about, is just nurses helping nurses, sharing their stories, so that when you come to the US, you can be knowledgeable, educated, excited, and know what to expect. So, so that's really interesting, though, to share about Hanford. So Tommy Tan is saying hi. Hi, Tommy. And Vanya is proud of you.
Yeah, she's a great nurse. She's also planning to come here. So
Well, we want to help Vanya too. It's so cute. I love how she's proud of you, Cornelia, and we're proud of you, because it's not easy to come on and speak to a lot of people you don't know. So we really appreciate you to share your experiences. Oh, there you go. All your friends are joining in. April is proud of you.
yeah.
That's cute. Cornelia, so just tell us a little bit more about Hanford. So, as you said, it's very close to Fresno. Fresno is a big city, kind of like a Los Angeles. So let's talk a little bit about Hanford and the Fresno area. What is it like there to live there? What is it like, where's the nearest airport? How far is it from the ocean? How far is it from the mountains? It's kind of, if you look at the map that we're showing you now, it's in the middle of California. So it's you've got San Francisco to the north, which is on the coast. You've got Sacramento to the north, which is more inland. Hanford and Fresno, as you can see, are in the middle of California and more inland. Los Angeles, San Diego, where I'm based, is further south. So tell us a little bit more about the Hanford, Fresno area. where's the airports, how far from the ocean, just tell us a little more about the area.
Okay. What I notice is that every town here in California, they have their own airports, but not all airports cater to all commercial flights.
Okay.
So for airports, the nearest one would be Fresno and LAX in Los Angeles. So I had a friend who visited me here. He went through the Fresno airport, which is also not far from Hanford area. And if you're looking for places to visit, like parks and mountains, you can go. The nearest would be Yosemite, and there is also Sequoia Park, and what else? Because in here, like I noticed they go camping. They go camping. They go hiking.
There's a lot of outdoor,
yeah,
outdoor activities. Yeah.
I've been to a couple of lakes, which are really, really nice. It's like you're inside a magazine. Very picturesque, yeah. And what else? But it's more of like you have to drive in Hanford or anywhere in California, except I guess San Francisco and Los Angeles.
And many people don't realize that. So it's good that we're talking about that. We're going to talk about the transportation in a moment, but let's just talk about like fun in California. I know you've given us a few of the trips that you've done in the time that you've been living in California. And we're going to share some of your experiences and some of your fun trips, and maybe you can describe for everybody where you were and what you experienced. And we're going to show some of those pictures now from your trips.
Thank you.
What was your favorite place to visit?
Well, I've been to some places. I've been to San Francisco. I've been to Los Angeles and South Lake Tahoe. My favorite would have to be San Francisco.
Okay.
Because the first one would be the Golden Gate Bridge. And the houses are all Victorian. And when we passed through the Golden Gate Bridge, it was at that moment when I realized and I told myself that I'm really in the United States, because you only get to see it in the movies. It was surreal.
And that's such a great picture everyone can see of you at the Golden Gate Bridge.
It was so nice. I got to have time to, to visit around the great places in California. And I got to see the Crooked Street, the famous Crooked Street. It was nighttime, but we got to drive inside it. So it's really cool. And I've been to Los Angeles. I saw the Hollywood sign, got pictures there.
Yeah. There's your Hollywood sign. And what is that picture next to the Hollywood sign?
I'm sorry?
The picture that we're showing now on the screen, that's next to you at the Hollywood sign. The one what is that?
It's so good. It feels like, a trophy to me. I gotta take a picture in the Hollywood sign. And the lights, what do they call it? It's in Los Angeles too. It's in the movie with Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher. I forgot the name.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I've lived in California for 21 years, and I don't know that.
But a lot of people take photos in that area.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you've seen a lot of the US, and you've seen a lot of the States. Are there any other of your favorite places that you visited that you can tell us about?
South Lake Tahoe, definitely.
Okay.
It's like it's different because in California, when we went there, it was still summer. It was so hot. But when we went to Lake Tahoe, it's like winter. And the establishments there, it's different. It's different. It's like you're inside a magazine picture too, because everything is new to me. Yeah, and there was like we weren't supposed to go because of the fire, but thankfully they were able to control it, and we got to see Lake Tahoe.
Okay, all right. Well, that's what we want for everybody, is to go see the Hollywood sign and the Golden Gate Bridge and Lake Tahoe and all these fun things. Yosemite. I think you had a picture of Yosemite as well. But lots of pictures. Oh, what is this one? Cornelia?
That's the, I think, Museum of Fine Arts in San Francisco.
Okay,
Yeah.
fabulous. Wow, so much to see. So, we've got more. We've got
Yeah.
the famous Ghirardelli.
That's all in San Francisco, and the one where I was standing is in Twin Peaks. You get to see the whole San Francisco city.
Wow.
It was so nice.
Wow. And I think that's the great thing also about Hanford specifically, is it's kind of right in the middle of the country. So
Yeah.
not in the country, in the middle of the state. So you're close to a lot of different things to see, which is
Yeah.
really fun. Yeah.
Definitely.
And people don't also realize how different parts of California are, because Los Angeles is so different to Porterville, where your family lives, different to Hanford, different to Fresno, different to Lake Tahoe. Each place is kind of different. So really fun to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I see we've got a lot of comments here. And Fritz is asking, can you describe Garden Grove City?
I don't know, Garden Grove City.
Fritz, we'll have to look into that for you. Sienna is asking, what is the usual rate of nurses in California?
Well, am I allowed to say the usual rate?
So just for everybody to know, we are not talking specifically about the hospital where Cornelia is based. And every hospital has different rates. There are different rates depending on the cost of different hospitals will have different rates. And even within California, you will have a different rate depending on the location of where you are living. So say, for example, in San Francisco is more expensive than in Hanford.
Yeah.
Or Los Angeles might be more expensive than Porterville, for example.
Yeah.
So, you're going to have those different rates. So, Sienna, the answer to your question is there's not one rate.
Well, I can share some details because basically in California, you will get $40 per hour, like basic. And aside from that, you get, if you're working weekends, that's a different pay. Like they usually pay you $5 on top of your regular pay. And then if you're working evenings, there's an evening pay, and then there's a night differential pay. And during pandemic, they also give pandemic pay. So if you're going to do overtime, the biggest overtime pay that I got offered is $75 an hour on top of your overtime pay. And overtime pay in California is 1.5 times your basic rate. So
Okay, so for everybody who's watching, that is Cornelia's experience at her specific hospital in California. Different hospitals will have different pay scales. It will also vary according to the cost of living in that specific area. So you're going to find a wide variation on the rates. Okay, Tommy is saying, I hope we have the same life about North Dakota, Fargo, and Bismarck. Tommy, we're going to be doing a show on North Dakota, Fargo, and Bismarck, so stay tuned. Every month, we're going to be taking one specific location in the U.S., and we're going to be building out a whole map on Onwards and Upwards stateside. We're really excited about it, so that you'll be able to see how different the different states are, and what are the great things about North Dakota and Fargo and Bismarck. So those are shows to come. So keep watching. Danielle is saying hi. Prince is saying hi. Vanya is saying she misses you.
I miss you too, Vanya.
Cute. Katie is asking about annual leave.
Yeah, annual leave, from what I remember, they told us 2 weeks of annual leave, but you also get to earn your PTO hours depending on how many hours you've worked. So they give you that aside from your usual vacation leave.
Okay. Cornelia, you spoke a little bit about transportation. And you said that only in certain areas, like in San Francisco, is there really good public transportation. Tell us about the transportation in Hanford, Fresno area.
Yeah, that's the one of the parts that I struggled with when I came in California, the transportation, because I didn't have my driver's license yet. And I was fortunate enough that I have my family here to drive me to and from wherever I need to go. It's a must that you have to drive in California. There are transportation, but the what do you call it? The stop areas are limited to certain establishments. So unlike in Fresno and LA and San Francisco, they have Uber, they
Mhm.
have taxis there. When I got here in Porterville and Hanford, there are no Ubers. So
Mhm.
nobody will take your Uber ride because everybody drives, and there aren't a lot of like there are no a lot of like buildings where people work. Mostly like hospitals are the biggest buildings that I've seen in this area of California. So it's
Okay.
definitely a must.
It's a must to drive. Okay. And most people in California drive. So that is going to be a challenge for
Hmm.
many international nurses. Some haven't driven for a long time, some have never driven, and some have
Hmm.
driven only in other countries where sometimes you drive on the other side of the road or
True.
the rules are different. So how did you go about getting your license and how did you get a car?
Yeah. What I did was because I stopped driving for like 5 years. I used to drive in a different country, and then I came back home. I stopped for 5 years because I didn't have to drive in the Philippines. For the DMV, which is like the Land Transportation Office in the Philippines, it's the DMV here. It's necessary that you have your green card first, your SSS, um, proof that you are a resident of the US and California before they can process your license application. There would be a written test, but the review materials you can all get it from their website. It's basically easy. All the questions in the written test are all in the review materials that they'll give you. So I got it on first try, the written test. And
Well,
then after that, once you've passed it, they will give you a student permit that you will use. You can either enroll in a driving school or have somebody teach you that's also a licensed driver. So for me, that was my brother-in-law. He like taught me how to drive and the roads here. The biggest difference that I noticed is the stop signs. In the Philippines, we don't really have the stop signs in junctions, in crossroads. We always have traffic lights. Even back in the other country that I used to drive, there will always be traffic lights, even in the narrowest streets. But in here, like you can see how disciplined the Americans are. Like there are no police on every stop signs, but people will stop even if there are no cars in the junction. You have to stop for 3 seconds before you can go, and if there are cars in the junction, you have to wait for your turn. So it's really
you've got to get you've got to
disciplined.
get used to it. And people are
Yeah,
law abiding in America.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I got my car, but honestly, I came here. I didn't have like, money to splurge in California. I was fortunate enough that my family lives here, so I have support.
Mhm.
Um, Good thing that Kinetics connected me to a bank,
Mhm.
and that gave me a car loan because I didn't have a credit history. When I was trying to get a car, I already have like my car loan. I tried to get from Honda, from like other like Toyota. They were asking for my credit score, and they won't give me a loan if I don't have my credit score. So Good Thing Kinetics has that bank, and also an online car seller that they partnered with. So it was a breeze. It was smooth. I did everything online. I didn't get to see the car before I bought it. They just delivered it in my house, in my front door. So
What
and
was it? What was it like? When you got your new car in America?
it was so good. like like you have a new independence because you will get to drive around California. You will get to drive on your own to work, and you can get to places. You don't have to ask somebody excuse me, to drive you. If you need to buy something in the store, you can just go yourself.
Yeah. So that's a great feeling because then you can explore, you're independent, and it really it's life changing when you
Yeah.
drive and you've got a car. One thing just to mention to any nurse that is coming to the US is that, as Cornelia said, you can download the booklet of the DMV.
Yeah.
Because when I came here from South Africa, I'd been driving for many years in South Africa, but the rules are very different, as Cornelia said. Like in America, people are very law-abiding, they abide by
Mhm.
stop street, those kinds of things. But even in the booklet, it's very different. I remember when I came here, somebody said to me, "Oh, you've been driving for a while. You don't need to study the booklet." And the day before my test, I took out the booklet and I just about like fell on the floor. I was like, "Oh my gosh, there are things here you need to learn."
Yeah.
If anybody is going to be coming soon to America, download the booklet. You can start studying now. Because, getting that car, as Cornelia said, whether you are in Hanford, Fresno area, or if you are anywhere else in the US, most places you have to drive. And getting a car is really kind of a game changer. So you
Mhm.
really want to try and get a head start on that as much as possible. Okay, oh my goodness, we are halfway in, Cornelia, and I've got so many questions still for you, and people are posting questions. So we've got another 15 minutes. Princey is asking, is pay for neurosurgery ICU nurses more? So, Princey, the answer to that is it depends on the hospital. Most hospitals pay on years of experience. Some hospitals give additional pay for additional accreditations or qualifications, but most of the time it's based on years of experience. Julie Najira is saying, "Hi, thank you, Kinetics. I'm now working here in San Diego. If not for Kinetics, I won't be here. Someday I hope I can pay it forward." Thank you, Julie. Well,
That's so
maybe you can come
nice.
on the show and tell everybody what it's like to live in San Diego. We would love to see you again. Jeff, Mildred is tagging Jeff. Please, everybody, Cornelia is paying it forward for you. For those of you outside the country still waiting to get here and wanting to work in California, so please pay it forward for your friends and colleagues and tag them to watch the show. Grant is asking, how long is the wait after passing the NCLEX? So Grant, that's dependent on the kind of visa that you are going to come on. And if you look at the kinetic success part, that's the visa part. So if you are going to be coming on a green card or a TN, it's going to be different. And I would suggest you look at the Kinetics USA shows on the green card process, the consular green card. We did about a month ago. It's on our YouTube channel. Which gives you all the timing, and also the TN one that we did, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, also on the Kinetics YouTube channel. Sienna is asking, can non-bedside nurses be hired in some hospitals but have previous ICU experience? So Sienna, that's an interesting question. It depends on the hospital. Right now, we have hospitals that are hiring all over the US, and everyone is slightly different in the requirements. So some will require current experience, and some are a little bit more lenient on that. So you can speak to a Kinetics USA recruiter and they can help you with that, and go to kineticsusa.com and /application and apply. Okay, Cornelia, you spoke about your family and how helpful the family have been in getting you settled. Not everybody coming is going to have their family in a town nearby.
Mhm.
How did you search for a support network? If so, how did you find it? Were you in touch with places of worship? Is there a community there? How multicultural is Hanford, Fresno area? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, for the basic support, like for a place to stay and transportation, my family provided me that. But for other support, like for my job, if I have to go here, get my medical exams, or have my BLS accreditation, Kinetics provided me with an onboarding specialist, and he's the one who will search the area for those things for me. When I had trouble with my transportation when I started in Hanford, he looked for taxi businesses that can take me every day to and from work, and it's not easy. He was always messaging me every day, calling me, messaging me every day if I'm doing all right, if I have done this, if I need more support. He even connected me to a Filipino community, thanks to Richard. So you will never feel alone. Even if you come here in California without your family, there will be support. So you won't be left in the dark, because I've heard some people, some stories. But with your onboarding specialist, he will provide you that.
Well, Richard will be glad to hear that. Richard is one of our onboarding specialists who does a fabulous job. We have many
Yes,
of them all over
great.
the country. He does a great job really looking after you. And Enzo is asking, do you have assistance for registered nurses here in the Philippines? The answer is yes, Enzo, we can help you. And as Cornelia says, there are, in Hanford, Fresno, there are a lot of Filipinos, just,
Yeah.
in that area specifically. What's your favorite fun thing to do in Hanford when you're not
Well,
working?
I love to jog and just walk around the neighborhood, because the houses are really beautiful and you feel safe. Because it's a quiet place, a quiet city. You don't hear there are no gunshots or whatever. It's really quiet. All you hear are crickets, and it's just nice, and you get to burn some calories too
Oh.
while doing it. Aside from, of course, traveling around California with my family, I love to jog just to
To burn
pass
off
time.
those in and out burgers.
Yeah, there's In and Out in Hanford.
And are there ethnic food places in Hanford, or ethnic restaurants in Hanford or Fresno area?
Yes, there are a lot. Um, the most you can find are Mexican foods, which are really good. There are taquerias, burritos, birria, Mexican foods I haven't heard of. There are Filipino restaurants in Fresno, which we actually go to whenever we crave for Filipino foods. Me and my sister, we go there. There are a lot of Chinese foods and Korean foods too. So if you're craving for those Asian yummy foods, you're good in California, in Hanford.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. That's good to know. Okay, you spoke about your family and how helpful they were, but also you came here with your son. So
Yeah.
can you give any parent who is coming with children any advice about the schooling in the Hanford area?
In the Hanford area, I think it's because my son studies in Porterville,
Oh,
but basically it's the same in Hanford, I would assume. It's quite easy. All they were asking for was his vaccinations.
mhm,
So aside from the vaccinations that he received before we got our interview, before we came here, they just asked for the second dose of the Tdap vaccine.
mhm.
And they didn't even ask for his grades or his certificates from the school. They just asked me what grade is he going to enroll to. So it was easy. They didn't ask me for money or anything. It's a public school, but it's like more than a private school in comparison to the schools in the Philippines. He got to have his own MacBook provided by the school, which is really good. He gets free breakfast and free lunches in the school. And what else? They even provide notebooks, pens, everything's provided for. So they're very privileged. It's true that American kids are very privileged.
Okay, so there you've learned about the schooling. One of the things that people often ask about when we speak about California is the housing, because California, you can earn very well, and the rates are really high in California, but it's expensive to live
Yeah.
here. Now, what people don't always realize is that there are different cost of livings even within California itself. So the cost of living, for example, is in San Francisco is very different to Hanford, is very different to San Diego, is very different to Porterville. It's going to be a very wide range. Can you talk a little bit about the cost of living, the housing, the taxes, what you've experienced so far?
Well, in here, what I notice is that they have two types of taxes. So the state tax is different from the federal tax. So you will have two deductions for taxes, and they're big, but it's still more than enough for the housing, for food, for your transportation. I am renting a room studio type in Hanford because I go back home and it's my off back in Porterville. So it's about like $500 a month for what I'm paying for rent. But if you want to get an apartment, if you have family, it's about 1,500 a month in Hanford. But because Hanford is like a bigger city, in Porterville, I've seen houses here, like my sister's friends, they are renting a 3-bedroom house for 1,500. And there is also a small town beside Hanford, which is Lemoore. I have co-workers who are renting an apartment, like 2-bedroom apartment, for about $700 a month. And that's like a lot cheaper in comparison to Hanford. It's just 15 minutes away from Hanford.
Okay, so that's also interesting, Cornelia, that you bring it up. Is that there are going to be differences in the different locations within California, but also it's often the case that if you, for example, want to work in Hanford and you want to live 15 minutes away, you might be able to find something a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variation, and I'm so grateful to you for sharing that with so many people, because that can, I'm sure, put a lot of people's mind at ease when they think, oh my gosh, California, great rates, but it's expensive, and how am I going to manage? So, you are sharing with everybody that it's very manageable.
Well, actually, Miss Tanya, surprisingly, I have coworkers who live like 45 minutes to an hour away from Hanford. So they can manage. So 15 minutes is, it's not a biggie. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're getting a lot of questions, which I love. So Princey, I just want to make sure I don't leave anybody out. I want to try and get to everybody's questions. Princey is saying, is there no chance for Indians to join in kinetics until the Healthcare Workforce Resilience Act bill is passed? I'm an Indian with 10 years of experience in ICU. Is there any chance? Princey, I know it's so frustrating for so many Indian-born nurses that are where the visa bulletin is still so badly backlogged for India. We are part of the AAIHR, which is the American Association of International Healthcare Recruiters. So we are working very hard under the AAIHR to try and get some of these Congress bills changed, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So just stay tuned, and hopefully things will change for Indian-born nurses, because right now the visa backlog is still applicable to India and China. Katrina is asking, hi, I have my family in Stockton, California. Do you have any affiliated facility near in that area? Katrina, yes, we do. We are happy to help you with that. So please go to Kinetics USA website /application, and we would love to help you. Gina is saying, my daughter is willing to apply. Gina, we're happy to help your daughter. Sangeeta is saying, I've completed my NCLEX in 2021. My birth country is India. Is there any possibility to migrate to US? Kindly guide me. So Katrina, you'd be the same situation as Princey, unless you have a previous priority date, or unless you are married to somebody who was born in a country other than India. We can't help you right now, but stay tuned, and hopefully we can in the future. Gina is, wow, we're getting a lot of questions. Gina is saying, do you sponsor? So Gina, Kinetics USA are direct hire. which means that we don't sponsor or employ nurses ourselves. And you are employed and sponsored directly by the facility, like Cornelia is. And the advantage is you get paid the same as an American nurse and get the same benefits and can choose, like Cornelia did, that she wanted to go to Hanford.
Yeah.
So we'd be happy to help. E is saying, do you need to be currently working to be able to apply? And the answer is no, E. So we are happy to help you. We have different facilities all over the US, thousands of jobs right now, both in acute care hospitals, nursing homes, hospitals, surgery centers. So lots of different options and opportunities. And Katrina is saying, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, well, we have covered a lot of things, Cornelia. We are now at 45 minutes, so we're going to finish off now. What would you say are your final words to any nurse who is looking to come to the US, and what would be your advice?
Well, what I would say is just go for it. It's life-changing. It can be challenging if you move here without knowing anyone, or if you don't have a family here, because of the basic things like a house and a car. But once you have established that before coming here, it's all a breeze. And all those wait is all worth it. And there is a wait for the license endorsement for California Board of Nursing, unless your RN license is already in California. Mine just took 3 months, but it's all worth it. And adjusting to the culture, it's not so hard because, as we know, Filipinos, we know more about the American culture than any other countries or cultures. We wear their brands, we listen to their music, we watch their shows. So basically, when you get here, it's like just getting to experience it in real time. It's worth it. It's worth all the hard work we do. It's like it's worth it. Just go for it. I can say more.
Go for it is what Cornelia is saying. And that is really such a great message that you are sending out to nurses all over the world who are looking for greener pastures, looking to live the American dream. Cornelia, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you too, Miss Tanya. If it weren't for Kinetics, I wouldn't be here.
Well, we are so grateful and honored to be part of your journey. You have done just such a fabulous job, and we just couldn't be happier for you. So thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for sharing your story. So many nurses, all over the world really are wanting to come to the US. And every month we're going to be doing an Onwards and Upwards show stateside, where we're going to be talking about living in different parts of the world, different parts of the US, sorry. And we actually have a download, so you can go to the Kinetics USA website. And there is a download that you can share, which is about this is a free download. So this is free information. Each state is different in terms of the housing, the cost of living, the laws, the culture, activities, etc. So we have a free download for you that you can go to our website and get, and it covers every one of the states and has information for you on on living in the States. So just to finish off, I wanted to share just some Kinetics initiatives for anybody who's interested. I see Gina has her daughter in the Philippines, and she's licensed in New York. We're happy to help her, Gina. To share with you some of the things that we have going on at Kinetics is we have a free IELTS scholarship. This is a free course for any nurse who needs to pass the IELTS, who is placed with a Kinetics employer. Kinetics, this is complimentary. It is our way of paying it forward. We implemented it last year because of the pandemic. We were just looking for ways to help, and we pay for the course. We have thousands of nurses going through the IELTS course. And if you look at our social media, you can see many of the amazing success stories. We also have an NCLEX scholarship. So Kinetics are paying now for a review course for selected global nurses. So apply to our website and see if you're eligible for the Kinetics scholarship for the NCLEX. And we also have 2 more weeks left of the $1,000 referral fee. Nurses have been so excited about this. We have one of our nurses, Jekyll. He has referred over 100 nurses. We have another nurse, Maria. She's referred 27 nurses, earning lots of money and paying it forward and helping their friends. So please check out the referral fee. Our podcast is in the top 5% Nursing in America. We have a nurse aid program. We have our show that will be coming to you every week on a Friday. So check out for future shows. We'll be coming to you next week. And we also have allied needs. So we have lots of employers hiring medical lab technicians, technologists, respiratory therapists, etc. So we're going to finish off now. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched all over the world. Thank you for all the great questions. April is saying, way to go, girls. See you soon. Well done.
I referred her actually to Kinetics.
Well, there you go, Cornelia. So April, we look forward to seeing you on the Onwards and Upwards show stateside. And thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week, Friday. Thank you, Cornelia.
Thank you, Miss Tanya.
Onwards and upwards. Thank you. Bye-bye.